Thank you. So I would say as well, I based my remarks on yesterday's incredible conversations and this morning brought it into a whole nother realm. So, but one of the things that I think is so important, as Brenda said, and I think we've talked about it over and over again, is that this is an incredibly challenging job as a clinician, as a nurse, as a therapist, whatever your role is within that clinic. It's a challenging job, and it can be a very rewarding job. And I think what's happened is that we started out this workshop saying we won't whine, we're going to think about solutions. And I think there have been some pretty interesting solutions of the blend of high-touch care, which none of us really want to see disappear, especially in the realm of oncology, but utilizing technology in the smartest way possible to really to narrow those disparities that we see across the nation in access to care. So I would just encourage open minds because we do have to change the way we're doing things. And part of that is to, and I said it during some of my comments during the meeting, is we do have to think about creative partnerships, just as telehealth can bring creative partnerships between specialists and those challenged with trying to manage patients in smaller communities or where they don't have as many practitioners and the diversity of practitioners that you might have in a cancer center. We also have to think about the whole cancer patient. I think that there was a remark in the beginning that this similar workshop was done 10 years ago, and they were thinking, how far have we come 10 years ago in keeping the care force healthy and motivated in a very challenging field, addressing very challenging set of diseases. It's the same thing, the same period of time, the National Academy of Sciences released the addressing cancer as the whole patient, and not forgetting about the psychosocial and emotional impact and life impact on patients. And I have to say, I didn't hear much of that where Mary and I kind of put our edge in to make people think about it, but it's very important. And this is where community partnerships can be so powerful because in the major cancer centers, you will find that there are people that are providing support counseling. Some of them can include in their workflow, and some of them cannot. Support groups for patients or one-on-one counseling for patients, for people to deal with the life and work challenges that can really impact their ability to adhere to treatment regimens and impact their overall outcomes. So this is something that we have to do together, and there are organizations like the Cancer Support Community that can offer that care. The other thing I wanted to bring forward is that we also can be your partners in helping with raising the voice of the patient, each individual patient, and also collectively on the Hill from a federal perspective and a state perspective, so that we can bring that voice forward to affect change in reimbursement, the reimbursement web that we're all challenged by, but also to make sure that the patient perspective is always included and the emotional impact of disease is included when we're talking about following clinical pathways and trying to save dollars. So I wanted to end with a story because I got a story I get stories all the time, but I got a story this morning that I think that you'll all appreciate and goes with what Brenda just said and is a good wrap up to this. This is from a woman that received an intervention that we call Open to Options, which is to help people to articulate their questions to their doctor when they're in the throes of making a cancer treatment decision. And this is a woman who was being seen in a center. She felt a little burdened by the fact that she didn't get a chance to ask all her questions. So I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to read some of it just to give you an idea of the value of helping people to make decisions. we have a registry where we have documented that although almost 2/3 of patients feel that they did have a productive conversation with their clinician about their treatment decisions, less than 20% of them felt prepared for that discussion. So this is a woman who said, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in September. I got the phone call, we heard about this yesterday, informing me of the biopsy results, and I was just shocked and scared. The only thing that went through my head was the thought of death and physical outcome of treatment before I knew what it was truly like to be on a cancer journey. I would have assumed that the physical part of my journey would have been the hardest, the surgeries, the treatment, the side effects. But what I have found that until now, the hardest part has been the choices I have to make. And these choices are often complicated by the opinions of the entire world, my doctors and my family and my friends. When you have cancer, everyone seems to have an opinion about what's best for you. I've had to create spreadsheets with lab results to take to multiple specialists, and I'm constantly communicating with my treatment team. So when another person actually types and does something for me, which is what we do, we record in a patient's words what their concerns are and questions for their doctor, it was incredibly supportive and like a weight had been lifted. This program has all the elements of an effective program, the right staff, the right concept, and the right execution. But most importantly, it addresses the one thing that has been most difficult for me on my healing journey, which is my choices. So I think that that's pretty profound, and something that we have to consider is that this is really about the people that we're here to serve. But we can't serve them well if we don't have a healthy workplace. And others are going to talk about team building and how to make that happen. But I just remind everyone to not forget why we're really here.